Hello out there in YouTube land! Are you a Spider-Man fan? Well, since he came on the scene in Amazing Fantasy 15 in 1962, he's been a huge fan favorite ever since. So if you love the webhead like I do, stay tuned and I'll share with you my top 10 favorite Spider-Man comic books right after this short video intro. Be right back. Welcome everyone! Comic Sniper here to share with you my favorite Spider-Man comic books. But before we get started, I just want to remind you that I'll be giving the shoutouts to my newest subscribers at the end of each video. So stick around for that. And as a token of my appreciation, if you subscribe to my channel as well, I will make sure that you get included in future shoutouts for my upcoming videos. So why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that bell button, and possibly your belly button. Sorry, that was a bad one. But that last one is completely optional, so do that at your own risk. We've got a lot to cover here, so let's get started with a Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Alright, enough of that. Okay, well, little did they know back in 1962 when Stan Lee and Steve Ditko first introduced the world to the web slinger, that he would be, he would turn out to be one of the world's most popular and beloved superhero, and that Spider-Man will forever stand shoulder to shoulder, basically with all the, the gods of the industry. So if you're like me and you love him because, well, he was relatable, right? We were all young once. Some of us, young at heart. We were young, like Peter Parker. We were first introduced to him, and he was like us, dealing with all, relatively similar problems growing up. Okay, so we loved him for that as much as, for his faults as well as his abilities. And man, what abilities, right? I mean, what kid didn't dream of, sticking to walls and shooting webs and swinging from, here to there? I mean, I know I did. And after you watched, you read comic books and you watch some of the cartoons, you go outside pretending that you're Spider-Man. I don't know, maybe that's just me. That maybe I'm revealing too much, so we'll move on. Well, enough with the PBS special anyways. So on to the books. We're gonna go in order of least favorite to my number one favorite. Well, this is really hard because they're all really my favorites at heart, but I did have to choose and I did have to put them in order, so here it goes. So my number 10 is Amazing Spider-Man number 700. So this is relatively new, well, really modern, just came out in 2013, but it's got a lot going for it. Okay, that's why to make it onto my favorites, even if it is new. It's the issue where Peter Parker dies in this issue. It has excellent writing. It's a huge book. A lot of pages in this one, but definitely has a lot going for it. Excellent writing, excellent story. The cover, very unique. If you've never ever seen this book, it's basically made up of Spider-Man and Venom. Check that out. This one is signed by Dan Sloth, if you can see that. So yeah, and then the white is a lot of the different characters. So very creative. I've taken a lot of time myself just to look around at all the little stuff, and it still boggles the mind what you'll find in there. So again, excellent story, clever cover. It's an anniversary issue, being number 700, and of course this one has a Doc Ock in it, Dr. Octopus, which is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. So that's why this is my number 10 pick. Okay, at number 9 we have Amazing Spider-Man number 100. So this came out in 1971, so it's a late silver, early bronze age book, and it's as you can see, it's a 100th anniversary issue. That's pretty much the extent of why this is a key, but this is really all about the cover. Okay, this is a John Romita cover. Very hard to find in high grade because of the black cover, as you can see, with all the different characters all over the place. But with Spider-Man, you know, just love the bright red and blue and that pose. This is a definite classic. It's like a pinup. It's like a pinup poster. So it's very striking on that background. It's not, you know, terribly expensive of a book because it's not a huge key, but definitely it's got some value in it, and this is why it's number 9 on my list. So my number 8 pick might be a bit odd for you guys, but it is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, number 1. This came out in 1981, so it's a Bronze Age, and it is the first appearance of Firestar. That character, that's her right there. That's the character, but it's not terribly valuable. This book, and basically why it's on my favorite list is basically if you're like me, I mean, you know, comic books goes back many years for me, and watching Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, you know, in Saturday morning cartoons back when I was younger, is, you know, brings back a lot of great memories. You know, waking up, remember waking up really early, you know, sleepy-eyed, just barely able to get up as early as, like, you know, 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, just to, you know, watching Bullwinkle back then. It's you know, and then waiting until about 9, 10 o'clock before the really good cartoons came out. And of course, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was one of them that I really looked forward to watching whenever it showed up. So I have very fond memories of this, and it brings back a lot of good memories from my childhood. And that's why, really, it's not about the value all the time. This one became number 8 on my list. And busting onto the scene for number 7 is Amazing Spider-Man number 41. And this is a Silver Age goodie, 1966. And this is the first appearance of the Rhino, as if you didn't know, right there. So I love this book. Again, John Romita Sr. really kills it as far as art and cover. You know, I'm not a, like I said, I've mentioned before, I'm not a huge villain collector, but Spider-Man's villains are really, they're almost iconic as he is, because they're such great characters. And you can see the way John Romita's drawn here. The Rhino just busting out, huge, large, and in charge, definitely. So this is a key book, and it has value, this book. So especially in high grade, as you can see, this is not in high grade. It's got a lot of stuff happening on the spine, but you know what? I still love it. Love having it. And if I do get a higher grade one, definitely then I'll get rid of this one. But until then, I don't mind holding on to that. And that's why it is number 7 on my list. And moving right along for number 6 on the list is The Amazing Spider-Man number 252. And as if you didn't know, this is the first appearance of the black costume. Introduced in this came out in 1984, so it's a late Bronze. Okay, this shares the title of black costume, first black costume, with a few others, including Secret Wars number 8, Web of Spider-Man number 1, and so forth. There's a few of those but by virtue of this came out in May 1984, this is considered the very first one. Okay, Secret Wars number 8 came out in December 1984, so it came out later, even though in storyline that one shows Spider-Man being taken over by the symbiote and actually giving him the black costume. So but by date alone, since this came out many months, few months earlier, this is the one that gets credited with the number 1. Okay, and of course we love the AF-15 cover swipe that Ron Frenz did. You know, really good cover swipe, and it's a semi, you know, low low mid key, because it does have it is very popular, and I believe, and this is just my take on it, I believe it has a potential to really go up in value depending on what happens in the future with Venom, and of course with Spider-Man, that kind of stuff. That's why this is number 6. Here we go for number 5. Okay, we're down to the last half. Amazing Spider-Man number 300. This came out in 1988, so it's a modern book, right? And it is the first appearance of Venom, Eddie Brock, and we are gonna have a movie coming out, a Venom movie, if you didn't already know, and that is gonna star Tom Hardy playing Venom. This, of course, is the very famous number 300 issue, done by Todd McFarlane. So really iconic, very valuable already. So, and let's face it, this movie is hot, was valuable and hot even before the movie announcement, and it just is super hot now, and it just keeps climbing. So depending on, because it's still gaining value, so depending on what happens after the movie, we'll see what the outcome of this book is, will be based on how popular it still is afterwards. But my take on it is, if it didn't get killed by the Amazing the Spider-Man 3 movie, which bombed, they did a bad job at it, and it still stayed popular, I don't think they can really do much to bring this book value down. I think I hope the movie is really good, and I'm very hopeful of that. But I think even if the movie doesn't do as well as we hope, I think this book can stand on its own and still keep gaining popularity and keep gaining in value. So that is number 5. So number 4 will be a two-parter, because we have Amazing Spider-Man number 121, and of course the bookend, Amazing Spider-Man 122. Okay, so let's see, let's do it like that. Oops, bad lighting. Okay, that's better. Okay, so both of these are 1973, so Bronze Age books. Very significant because they are both death issues. Okay, 121 is the death of Gwen Stacy. So sorry that if this is the first time you're hearing about this, so sorry for the spoiler. Okay, so Gwen Stacy, this is the death issue of Gwen Stacy, and right behind that is 122, which is the death of Green Goblin. So these are definitely really key issues. Okay, and again, the covers of these is John Romita Sr., and he does iconic covers all day long. Like, the guy cannot go wrong for some reason. So these are both very important books, both very key and very popular. The storyline, even if the artwork is not your style, I don't know why it wouldn't be, but even if it is, we'll say something about that. The story of this is very touching, very powerful. Okay, how Spider-Man has to go through this through this part of his life where he loses Gwen Stacy, and of course having to make the decision to avenge his loved one, but does the right thing anyways. So awesome story. That's why I don't really have the slab. That I want to always keep a couple in raw. Just every once in a while I like to revisit the story because it is a really good one. So together they make up number 4 on my list. So if you made it this far, welcome to my number 3, top 3, and that is gonna be Amazing Spider-Man number 194. This, of course, is the first appearance of the Black Cat, Came out in 1979, so definitely a Bronze Age comic. This is cover by Art Milgram. Love this. I mean, when they created Black Cat, they did such a you know, a great thing. Felicia Hardy being the Black Cat character, she really came on the scene and really became a fan favorite right after. So of course it's the great chemistry between the two of them. You know, she was brought on kind of like a villain at first, but turned out to be a love interest for Spider-Man, and the chemistry between the two of them are just electric. It's always fun to read and look at. So it's basically, you know, like it's a good boy falling for a bad girl, right? And you know, growing up, we all had some sort of crush on somebody maybe that wasn't good for us, or I don't know, maybe you're the bad boy, I don't know. But again, she's done well over the years. Very sexy character. Can't wait to see her on the big screen, because she's you know, they're in the process of making one, so that's coming soon, so look out for that. So this is considered to be a very key book, a very good key, and this is always on the move. So I mean, it's very steady. Hopefully with the movie this will skyrocket and, you know, become one of the all-time greats. But that's why this is in my top 3 of 10. We're almost done. Top 2, and that would mean Amazing Spider-Man number 33. It's a 1966 issue, so definitely Silver Age. Done by this cover is done by the great Steve Ditko. Cover and art. Okay. Now, why this? If you've seen any of my videos prior, you know why I love this comic. But if you don't know, it's because if you just look at this cover, I mean, the hopelessness that I see in this art. It's basically you know, with the water falling down and he's trapped in there underneath that huge heavy thing. When you read the book as well, the inevitability of the situation, it's just, and the pain, it's just epic, this cover, and it brings such a powerful, you know, memory and feeling that it's one of my all-time greats. And as a kid, when I saw this for the first time, this cover, excuse me, I couldn't take my eyes off of it, and I still have that feeling today when I look at this cover, right? So that's why it's very high on my list. And I paid homage to this in Spider-Man Homecoming. If you saw the movie, Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, was trapped underneath a huge heavy thing, and they took it right off of this. So I was when I saw that, I was so excited, I just about jumped out of my chair. And you know, it was very touching indeed. So this is not a big key by any means. It is an early Spider-Man, okay? So it has value, definitely, and in high grade definitely will command some coin. But it's number 2 on my list because, you know, it's just as I said, it's for the cover, it's for what the memories that it brings, and the passion that I have for seeing this cover, and that is number 2. And of course, we are down to the numero uno, the number 1, and that is gonna be my Amazing Spider-Man number 129. Okay, a 1974 Bronze Age book. Why this is my number 1? Well, it has a lot going for it. Okay, first off, it's the first appearance of the Punisher, Frank Castle. It's a great iconic cover by Gil Kane. It's been swiped many times. Personally, it's taken me a long time to acquire this book. Okay, it has been on my radar for a very long time, and to finally have it in my collection, that in a grade that I was going to be very happy with, you know, and and not looking to, you know, upgrade it, that kind of thing. It took me a very long time to finally acquire it, because really whenever I talk to people about, hey, you know, making an offer on theirs, a lot of times people just want to hold on to their book, and understandably so. You know, this has a good value and it's very expensive at pretty much any grade, you know. So people don't want to let go of it, and if they do, they want you know, outlandish prices for it. They have every right to ask for that, right? If they don't want to get rid of it, hey, unless you're willing to shell out the huge amount of coin, you know, then they're gonna hold on to it. And same thing with me here. You know, unless somebody offers me a ridiculous amount of money for it, I'm not looking to move this at all, right? So basically, when he showed up in Netflix Daredevil, the second season, man, they did such a great job, and he definitely deserved his own series, and they did not disappoint with his series. Awesome job. Can't wait for the continuation of it, because I think he's gonna be here to stay. He's gonna he's got a great following, and everybody, as far as I know, nobody thought anything bad of the series. So, you know, great thing. Always looking forward for the next one. So again, this book is already very valuable, if you didn't know. And it's always crazy going up in value, and I would consider this one of those blue chip books, you know, like 181, you know, Fantastic Four 1, Iron Man 1, that kind of stuff. This is going to be right up there eventually, and this is one of those things that's not going to be affected by whatever happens in the marketplace, that kind of stuff. So that's why this earned the coveted #1 on my list, the top 10 Spider-Man books. Well, before I go, I am going to add an honorable mention to this list. Can't just be top 10. And this one is going to cheat because it's in 6 parts, okay? But it is a Spider-Man. It's a Spider-Man and the Black Cat, #1. #2. #3. #4. #5. And of course the piece de resistance. 6 of 6. So this is a mini series, okay? It's Spider-Man and the Black Cat, the Evil That Men Do mini series, that was came out in 2002, so way into the modern. But you know what, this deserves an honorable mention on this list. Why? I'll tell you why, but beforehand, let's they're all great covers, but we'll put the #1 at the front. Okay, so as you can see, this is a Kevin Smith. He's the guy behind Comic Book Men. If you guys ever watch that series, love watching those whenever they come out. But this is a Rachel and Terry Dodson cover and art. But why this is on the list is basically because of this, you know, well, I just love Black Cat. I mean, her with Spider-Man together is just great. But the story that they did here is very powerful and I think very well done, very well written. So hats off to Kevin Smith for doing that. And of course the art that goes along with it, I think is just, you know, matches really well. So that's why I've had this for a few years, and I've revisited it. I read it every so often, and every time I do so, you know, it just kind of climbs up the ladder of my being a favorite. So I think you know, I would highly recommend checking this out. It's not terribly valuable as far as the set is concerned. You know, you can get them for a few dollars and that kind of stuff. So it's not a there's no key in this. It's not a first appearance of anything as far as I'm concerned. So, but it just has a special place for me, being that it is a story with Black Cat and of course Spider-Man and their chemistry together and everything like that. So you know, that's why I have to give a special honorable mention to this. It's just, again, it's a mini-series 1 through 6. So there you have it. That is my top 10. We'll just keep number 1 up there while I'm talking. So, well, of course, he's number 1, so he deserves a place up there. So that is my top top 10. I know there's more than that. Comic books, Spider-Man comic books. So thank you very much for sticking around, and as I promised, we should be having up on the screen names of my latest subscribers. Again, I thank you all for all your support, and hope to continue. You know, you'll continue watching and enjoying my videos. And as always, hey, if you want your name on my videos, all you need to do is go ahead and subscribe to my channel and keep watching for your name in the future videos. Simple as that. Let me know your thoughts too, right? How I'm doing in the comment section. Give me your feedback, and if your experience is positive, go ahead, click that click that like button before you leave. Okay. And as a side note, this is only my 10 favorite based on the comic books that I currently have. Okay. And as time goes on, hopefully I'll be getting more and adding more Spider-Man to my collection. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this list is gonna change. Okay, when that happens, well, I'm surely gonna, you know, make another favorite top 10 Spider-Man video. So until then, keep collecting those amazing Spider-Man comic books. And while you're doing it, remember, enjoy the hunt. Thank you very much for watching.